Okay, so today I want to talk to everyone who has so much empathy, so much compassion, and you find yourself being a little bit overwhelmed, overextended. This topic of conversation is for you. Sometimes divine growth actually comes from pain, actually comes from trials, actually comes from tribulations. That not only that you have to go through, but other people in your life will have to go through as well. However, empathy does not require us to carry what God never intended for us to carry at all. Compassion does not mean that we override our responsibilities and what God's duty is in distinguishing the two. So when we overstep, that's where we blur the lines at. Instead of being servants, we are actually now saviors, which is never the intent for anyone. So if you have empathy, if you have compassion, you have to understand that sometimes you cannot rob people from going through their own growth and encountering God themselves in their lives to do only what God can do for them and also for yourself as well. We're not supposed to be accessible at every single moment in every single person's life. Ephesians 4:32 urges forgiveness and kindness and how they coexist together. That simply means, especially in today's world, that you act, you don't overreact. You be compassionate, but you don't be overbearing and you be overextending yourself. Sometimes the lie is, oh, compassion equals losing your boundaries, not standing on your boundaries. Sometimes the lie is when you set limits, you're decreasing the amount of love that you give. However, though, grace and boundaries coexist together, walk alongside one another. So you can love deeply and still say no. You can love deeply and still let go. You can hear someone else's struggles, but choose not to carry their burdens. What is intended for us to do is to pray for one another and pray for each other when we come across different trials and tribulations, and trust in the sovereignty that God is going to do what God is going to do, and that each person is going to encounter God in a specific, beautiful way that they're supposed to encounter God. So for all the people who are super compassionate, have a whole bunch of empathy and a whole bunch of love, let me give you a few little tips. You have to hear first. Sometimes you have to listen to what someone is actually speaking to be able to not only know how to pray for them, but to know where you are supposed to fit in terms of someone expressing. Sometimes you're supposed to be just an ear. To ask God, is it meant for me to say anything in this present moment or not? People just need to know that there is somebody there with them as they're going through certain things in life. Pause and pray. So before you even start to act on anything, you need to ask yourself, God, how you want me to deal with this? Is this something that I need to speak on? Or are you going to reveal this to this person? God, is this something that I need to do? Or is this something that is in your hands? And with that, of course, you have to pray and ask God for discernment along the way as well. 3, speak gently, truthfully, and with invitation, not pressure. You cannot pressure anyone to speak. If you speak to someone, it should be out of patience. It should be out of love. It should be out of invitation, creating that safe space amongst one another to have that intimate, deep conversation. So therefore, not only you can pray for them, but for them to be able to genuinely narrow down on what they need to go to God about because of the conversation that is being had. Enforcing boundaries with compassion. Nothing is wrong if you have something planned, or either if you just need a day or a moment to pause for yourself, like, look, I need some rest today. I'm going to show up when I show up and I get there, but right now I have to cater towards me, because you can't give from an empty cup. You can never give from an empty cup, and on top of that, you wouldn't want anyone to give anything to you from an empty cup. Who wants 50% of someone when they're barely holding on to the 30% that they do have to show up in the way that they intended to show up? So you have to be gracious towards people in that area. You have to discern cycles. Each relationship is different. Some relationships require you to cut some people off. Some relationships require you to place stronger boundaries. And guess what? You'll be able to decipher that as you go through life. If you're a compassionate and empathetic person, being able to discern the cycles of certain issues is going to help you be able to place people in a certain place. Individual genuinely cares about what you're saying, how you feel, your emotional well-being, where you are in life, period. They're going to take the boundaries that you set to heart, and they're going to show up in the best of their ability for your behalf. It's all about reciprocation. However, if you express how you feel or where you are or your boundaries to other people, and the person does not choose to listen in your life, regardless of you setting stronger boundaries, are not meant to have complete access to you. So therefore, go to God about that and pray to God about that. Celebrate the growth in other people. Everyone has different growth periods in life. And sometimes when you feel as if you're not at a place or a season of your liking in that way that you think, not what God thinks, but what you think, those are the moments where you pray the most for people. You support people the most, because what's going to happen is this: when you pray for other people, whether you're going through things or whether you are hoping and praying to God that a breakthrough comes or a miracle comes, what you're allowing is your attention to focus and give gratitude and support to what God is doing in other people's lives. And at the same token, God is going to move on your behalf. And because you are out of the way and you're not thinking about what you have going on, so you allow God to work in the background on your behalf. If you feel crushed or the weight of the world is on your shoulders, that's because you are shouldering more than what God had told you and beyond your own actual limits. If you find resentment growing, bitterness coming, joy fading, that is a signal for you to pause. Take a chill pill. For everyone who is empathetic, super compassionate, remember that it is not your job to fix another soul. That is 100% God's doing. What you're supposed to do is be a servant of God. Help people, encourage people, lead people in ways to bring forth enlightenment so they themselves are enlightened and go to God and surrender and talk to God for any advice or any guidance that they need in their life or any particular situation. So when your empathy becomes enabling, when your compassion becomes suffocating, that is when you know that you have crossed the line. We're all supposed to care, but we're supposed to care rightly. We're supposed to care in surrender. We're supposed to care with empathy. We're supposed to care with boundaries. We're supposed to care in certain attributes. You're not supposed to not care at all. Proverbs 4:2-3. Keep your heart with all vigilance. You have to guard and be a great steward of your heart. Psalms 55:22. Cast your burdens on the Lord, and he will sustain you. When I cast things over my shoulder, I'm casting it all to God. So let your empathy become a wellspring. Let your compassion be so inspiring that it inspires other people. It is not your duty nor your job to fill in the roles or in the places that God is meant to be at, and especially in terms of internally. Because in the wilderness, it yields transformation. Sometimes you have to go through things. And even if you have a compassionate and caring heart, you have to allow God to move in ways so you yourself can encounter God in miraculous ways that you have never experienced in your life. And at the same token, other people can encounter God in miraculous ways. We are not meant to be out here saving every single soul, carrying every single burden of every single individual. Ask God for guidance. Pray for people in that moment in time. And God is going to give you the direction and the answers you need in terms of what to do with every single situation when it comes to yourself and when it comes to other people. Until next time.